Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Uhrig?
Yes.
Kish? All present. All righty. Now, looks like I made you guys all copies. Did I not bring the copies of the minutes? You're probably
on the printer.
on my printer. Excuse me.
One moment.
That's what I was singing.
Still going here. Okay. The July 27th, 2021 regular meeting minutes of the Amherst Township Trustees. The meeting was called to order at 7:03 p.m. by Lynch. Pledge to the flag. Roll call Abraham, Lynch, Uhrig, and Kish all present. Also in attendance, R. Cerrone, Case Marsh, G. Lynch, L. Ashley, J. Wilhelm, and C. Nyhart. 7/9/21, a motion by Uhrig, seconded by Abraham, to approve the minutes of the July 13th, 2021 regular meeting as corrected, all ayes. 7/10/21, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Uhrig, to approve that the June 2021 credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation, all ayes. 7/11/21, a motion by Uhrig, seconded by Abraham, move to approve the bills and financial reports with reservations, all ayes. Trustee Lynch deviated from the agenda for a report from City of Amherst Fire Chief Wilhelm and Fire Inspector Chris Nyhart for an overview of the second quarter 2021 fire and EMS calls. Total calls for the second quarter equaled 74, which is pretty consistent with past quarters. Chief Wilhelm noted that if ARP funds are available, a possible use of funds could be for emergency preemptor safety beacons at major intersections in the township that indicates when an emergency vehicle is approaching. Trustee Lynch went over several documents regarding the ARP Act Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Funds expenditure planning. Uses for these funds are limited to addressing support public health expenditures, address negative economic impacts caused by the public health emergency, replace lost public sector revenue, provide premium pay for essential workers, and invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. Trustee Lynch also noted packets contained information on the ODOT Township Stimulus Program. This is a one-time program providing federal funds to townships for sidewalk, roadway, and culvert, less than 10 feet, projects located within township limits, requiring no minimal right-of-way acquisition. The local funding limit of $250,000 per project has been established. Project funds will be prepaid to the township and must be spent by 12/30/2024. Trustee Lynch reached out to Rob Klaber regarding utilizing these funds for the proposed Oberlin Road resurfacing and to discuss proposed sandstone development spline road responsibility assignment depending on the timeline of the completion of the projects. Correspondence. Fiscal Officer Kish noted that packets contained correspondence from the Department of Commerce regarding liquor licenses in the township expiring on October 1st, 2021. Correspondence was how to register a valid objection to any of the licenses if desired. Trustee Lynch noted he also received correspondence for our dues for NOACA for July 2021 through June 2022. Fiscal Officer Kish noted that those dues come out of the budget every January, and she has contacted NOACA regarding payment in January. Under reports for ambulance, there was none. Zoning, 2 permits for the month. Design Review has a meeting scheduled on August 3rd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Road, Park, and Cemetery, Road Superintendent Smarsh reported currently very busy with mowing, trimming, and catch basin repairs, working with Precision Paving regarding Dewey Road project, roadside mowing, and trimming. Senior Services, Administrator Ashley reported that playground equipment we purchased with the grant dollars received from the Lorraine County Health District grant has been ordered. Currently working on a cemetery grant, the ODOT Township Stimulus Fund, and Round 36 for OPWC is due September 3rd, 2021. The announcement for the Green Ribbon Award will now be announced in August due to them extending the deadline. Phase 2 permit. Trustee Lynch noted packets contained a resolution regarding the Engle Ditch Bid Award, project management assignment, and ARPA payment authorization. 7/12/2021. A motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Engle Ditch Restoration Phase 3 Project Bid Award, Project Management Assignment, and ARPA Payment Authorization. Roll call, all ayes. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be August 10th, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. 7/13/21, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham to adjourn at 9:03 p.m. All ayes.
Are there any changes or corrections to the July 27th meeting minutes as read?
I have none.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve then?
So moved. Second.
Abraham,
Yes.
Euring,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Alrighty. Then for your, you have the payment listing in front of you. There's really nothing out of the ordinary. We received reimbursement or our bonus from Otarma, so you will notice that that was an adjustment off of our payment to them. Everything is pretty boilerplate, unless there's a question anybody has. Association of Public Treasurers is my membership, and also I'm doing the 3-day or 2.5-day conference to get my continuing education hours.
A question on the payment listing. We still, Chris, have not received the second half property tax?
We have not. I'm expecting that anytime. But in your packets, our year-to-date revenue is $1,095,585.78, which is in due part to the 301 that we had received for the ARP funds. And our expenditures are $551,778.27.
ARP funds, you check, can't see it here, you do have it in the accounts, those additional accounts then.
And actually, yes, what's different this time is it's just one account. I had broken out, there was like several accounts for the CARES Act funds, including hospitalization and OPERS, and you had to have every little thing detailed, and they did not want to do it this time. Whatever comes out of that fund comes out of that fund.
Right. But it's in those higher number accounts that are not commingled with the CARES. too.
Correct. It's still under 2272, but it has a different,
For that
yes,
fund,
account
I just want to
number.
make sure the
Yes.
account number was there, because we obviously can't see it, so, okay. We just want to make sure we, meet all the compliance requirements. I know there's quite a few that you've got to watch there.
I had my work double checked. I asked, Patty stopped over Sunday, so.
Okay. And I was asking about the, it appeared we didn't have the second half property tax, so probably even the investment earnings were definitely not going to hit. Okay, I don't have any other questions. Anyone else have any questions on
I have none.
financial reports? All right, anything, can I have a motion to pay the bills and approve the financial reports with reservation?
So moved. Second.
Urick,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes. Anything else on financials, Chris? Okay, I'm just going to mention the trustees. We're not going to go through this in detail. We did the last time, but you've got an updated version of the American Rescue Plan Act expenditure planning that's dated August 8th, and I can just tell you it's already changed, but we weren't going to, since we got to print this ahead of time to give Linda time, this is what it was at the time. We will be handling a resolution later here that's going to utilize a portion of those funds, and as Chris indicated, the first tranche was just received, and we currently have in the Amherst coffers. And look at that at your leisure, and also any new ideas, communicate those out to everybody so that we can keep this list updated as time goes on. And Linda will, just so you're peeked into it, Linda, when we get to stormwater, we'll talk about another category we may end up adding on there. Again, we'll have to go through the prosecutor for approval. Okay, with that, I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance. If there's anything to bring before the trustees, please raise your hand. Okay. Then we'll move on. Correspondence, Chris?
I have none.
Okay, David?
The only thing I have is a notice from the Ohio Power Sighting.
Can't hear you.
From First Energy concerning American Transmission Systems, First
Can't hear
Energy
you.
Company, proposing to construct the Beaver Wellington 138 kilovolt transmission line project. This letter briefly describes the project and the Ohio Power Sighting Board certification process and provides notice of the date, time, and location of an upcoming public hearing on the project. This project involves the west side of the township, just runs, where it runs down the west edge of the township, the west township line. There will be a public hearing on it Wednesday, September 29th, 2021 at 6 p.m. at Wellington High School, 629 North Main Street, Wellington, Ohio, 44090. That's all I have under correspondence.
Thanks, David. For those that still get newspapers, that's been in the newspapers several times. All right, Denny?
No, I have nothing.
Okay. All right, I do have a couple of items here. One is, this is from Jade Nikoloff, and I think, Chris, you just received another one, I believe from her sister. They live over on Stang Road here. They've got chickens for their 4-H project, and that they'll have on display at the Lorraine County Fair. I'm sure that what they're hoping, and the trustees should have copies of this in their inbox, but if you're out at the fair, you might want to go over if they're selling their chicken and put a bid in on their chickens. I don't know how many youth we have in our township this year that are in 4-H, but this is typically the 4-H program that's going on here. And I'm sure it's getting smaller because we don't have the number of youth we used to have. But there's chickens available. The other one is, this is from NOPEC. Which was not sent out to the other trustees. You've got copies in your packet here. Essentially what NOPEC's got, and I'm sure there's some of the community members are into this, is they are offering now Ohio Renewable Energy program where they get credits for this, but it's up to the community to decide if they want to have this alternate program become their standard program. Essentially, it just assures your community that 100% of the energy is coming from, generated by renewable sources, so you're talking wind and solar. Just realize that, and they're asking if our community's interested in that becoming the default standard for those in NOPEC. We have to pass a resolution and get it back to NOPEC prior to December 31st. They did provide a sample resolution, which I did not copy here because I don't think this is something we're going to do. the NOPEC says that if you choose it based on the average customer's demand, it'll only add $3.70 a month. So essentially about $45 a year. I don't know about my fellow trustees, but I've never had anybody call me yet requesting that we go to a source that's 100% renewable. I have had calls complaining about the cost. So with that feedback, even though it's limited, I don't see where we're going to agree to something that becomes the standard default that actually costs people more money. Particularly in our township, I don't know if that $370 a month is accurate, because in the group of homes that were built between the mid-70s and early 80s, some of them are only electric, all electric homes. So with that, their usage will be considerably higher than the average within the NOPEC area, which many of them have gas heat for their homes versus the electric heat that a group of Amherst Township residents have. This still, by not agreeing to this to be the default, is, and you'll see the last page I copied off of the NOPEC website, what we have today is our default is a standard program pricing. It still uses a portion of renewable energy, but you're not assured of that. But residents, if they don't want that, they have the option of going to a monthly variable price that will always be 6% off our current utilities price to compare. The actuality in the past year, that's been the better program to choose, but who knows once they choose it, which one's better. You can also take a 12 and 24 month fixed, or, and this is the way I suggest we leave it, let the residents decide. For those that want 100% renewable content, they can make the decision to do that on their own. So that is a choice that's offered by NOPEC. So if somebody believes strongly that they only want to use electricity generated by a renewable source, have at it, go choose it. But I don't see where we as a board should be forcing that as a default, because most people, just because of inertia, they don't go in and check these prices on a regular basis. They don't choose it. They take whatever the standard default is. And so personally, I would say let's just leave it alone and do nothing. So unless someone has a strong desire to go against that, that's the way I'm encouraging it. Let people still make their own choice. Okay? So hearing no objection, I'm assuming that I can tell NOPEC we're not interested. Okay, that's it for correspondence. Move on to reports. Ambulance, Denny?
Nothing under ambulance, Neil.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Right. Zoning, Remy?
We have 5 permits for the month, 3 accessory buildings, a sign and a fence. The ZBA has scheduled a meeting for the 25th for a variance for a piece of light industrial property across from the golf course.
What's the
Across
date?
from where?
8:25,
The golf course,
25.
August
there's
25th.
a piece of light industrial property right there, the caddy corner. There's a storage facility,
Okay,
and they want to put another building on that facility. They need a variance because they're going to be right next to residential agricultural. Normally, you need 100 feet. They want to reduce that, so that's what they're asking for.
I see.
Also,
That's
the
on
zoning...
the east side, of course.
Yeah, on the side. And the zoning commission has rescheduled their meeting for September the 7th. The people didn't show up for the meeting.
That's a design review, you mean?
The design review, yes.
September the 7th?
Yep. September 7th for zoning commission and August the 25th at 7 o'clock for the ZBA.
August 25th, they're meeting on Wednesday.
Mhm.
And what time is their meeting? 7?
7 o'clock.
And don't they start at 6:30 though? That'll be the design review, or they're
The
just...
design review is 6:30. The zoning commission has their meeting at 6:30, and about 15 minutes after that, they would start the meeting for the design review.
Okay. And Remy, have you contacted, because at that last design review, I noticed the architect wasn't there either, so is...
Right, the architect is Mr. Yorks, and I did contact him, and I made it clear that he should be there, and he apologized. He said he just slipped his mind.
Okay. But even, doesn't our township architect review that ahead of time?
Yes, and Yorks indicated that he knew the architect personally, and he was going to send him a set of prints and get together with him, and I contacted the architect and told the architect about Mr. Yorks, and so they're getting together.
That's why I want to make sure, so you contacted them, because that's our responsibility.
Yes, I did. This time I
Okay.
did. Last
Okay.
time I just took his word, which was a mistake.
Okay,
And-
good.
Remy, the zoning commission is meeting on Tuesday, the 7th, correct?
That is correct.
And they meet at
6:30.
6:30.
First Tuesday of the month.
Are there any other questions for Remy? Thanks, Remy. House count still sitting at 3? House count still at 3 new
Yes,
homes?
yes. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Okay. All right, roads, parks, and cemetery, Superintendent Smarsh?
Okay, well, all the typical, usual work for the township is going on. It all seems to be pretty smooth this time of the year. But I went to the Hampshire Farms meeting. It was the day after our last meeting, and we talked about the sewer on Oberlin Road. They have the plan going from Hampshire Farm south to K Drive. They have that plan taken care of, but they were going to see if the excavator that's doing Hampshire Farms would be interested in doing that sewer to the south, K Drive, and they would just put it in as an extra. So Bob Kleiber had mentioned that he would need to know pretty quick if they would be interested in doing that, so that way then they could move on with the process. But they don't even have a plan with the sewer as of that day from Hampshire Farm north to Route 2. That wasn't even, it's not even planned out yet.
You mean as the county sanitary engineer doesn't have engineering drawings for that?
Correct. Going south from Hampshire Farm, south to K Drive, that's already planned, but they don't have nothing in the works as of that day with anybody doing the work. We're going to find out if the contractor on site would be interested in doing that. If that contractor doesn't want to do that, then they'll have to go through the whole process. I'm sure it'll be a bid process. But that's just for the south portion. It might hang loose until they get the plans done for heading north. We talked about,
Timing because of that one-time grant that's available from ODOT stimulus for townships.
so when I talked with Bob about that and kind of what kind of time he was thinking that could all possibly happen, he didn't have a time, that afternoon. He hasn't gotten back with me to let me know that it would be pretty quick, but now my thoughts are, I think that should be up to the county. 'Cause they're gonna be chopping that all up. They got the fundage coming in as well, and I'm not saying that it's, I'm doing this. But I think that's their responsibility. They got the sewer running through there. They're opening, they're chopping the road. They've delayed us how many years? Put us off. Their sewer is caving in all the way around the curve from what they had put in prior to it, that all needs worked on. Yeah, I mean, that's somewhat.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how they fund it. I did request and I did receive a copy of their TIF, because when I spoke with Bob Kleiber, he wasn't really sure what all was included in that. He wasn't kept abreast of the details. I haven't read through the thing, you know, it's that multi-thick pages written by attorneys to see if it includes roadway, but I also was hoping we can use funds so we're not using between township property taxes and school property taxes to pay for it. But they most certainly could contribute funding to it, if not the whole thing. Realize the long end game, Kevin, is for the county to take over full responsibility of that road. But the timing on that, my understanding is the county engineer, not county commissioners, will consider that when the spline road of the sandstone development is installed. So, you know, that's going to be years down the road too.
Sure.
Well, we'll see what Bob says. I know that he did indicate, because one of the things we need is the average daily traffic count. The current mapping that ODOT has, you would have thought that portion of roadway is one of the busiest, and it's not even marked. Yet we've got traffic counts for a road down in Hidden Valley, how they have that, not Oberlin Road north of Middle Ridge. And I know Bob indicated they would put counters down. And I did see a counter just today on Oberlin Road south of the Turnpike overpass. I don't know whose counter that is.
That's the county. They must have miscommunicated and he thought it was the Turnpike Bridge instead of the Route 2 bridge.
Yeah, they're in the wrong place then if that's the county counter.
Yeah, I'll double check and make sure there isn't a counter
Okay.
by the Route 2 bridge. And if there's not, then I know that they had.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah, we want to make sure they get the right one.
Correct. I think they might have miscommunicated.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because the other one I expect is going to have a higher traffic count coming down it. It's, particularly people that use that as a shortcut to get over the Route 2 interchange.
Correct. And or northbound to,
Yeah.
get down there into the Lorraine area. Used quite a bit. I'll make sure that is
Okay.
straightened out. I also, I emailed Sean about I gave him a little bit of information that we possibly might be interested in working with the city in a combined job there, with the Middle Ridge project, that I would be needing an estimate from the city limits to Pile Road. And when I left the email, then I just checked it now before I came to the meeting. He's going to be out until the 12th, which will be back in Thursday.
Okay.
I will give Steve Adams a little bit of a heads up, possibly if he can move along a little bit quicker in order to at least get our estimate.
Right.
I'm not sure what the city's got in how they do their part, but I know we at least have to know how much ours is in order to work that out. And I also will talk with Sean about how we're going to work that out. Because I looked, from the other day that I spoke with you, I looked at the information about the joint job there on Middle Ridge, and then working with Linda here, getting information, because when I thought I had all the records of it, it was before I kind of got in place. That was the year that David did the filling out of the OPWC paperwork and the application and all that. So I don't even have contracts for that year. But we do have some paperwork, but I do believe that the city just paid, say, they weren't part of the OPWC funding. They had such a small portion of it, I don't think they got any funding out of it, and they just would have paid their portion of it. And it was kind of just a payoff, if I may say.
Well, they use their internal funds.
Correct. We do have an agreement, there is agreement there that we work together, and, say we did our application, and then they just ended up paying, but I believe on a job like this, we're going to try and get the OPWC funding, for our portion, and then the cities, however, they're, gonna fund their portion, correct?
Yeah, well, let's first, so that the other trustees are aware of this, Kevin, because I don't think they are, is, for Dave and Denny, I had Mayor Costello from the city of Amherst call for the Round 36. The city's looking at doing the portion of Middle Ridge within their community. And rightfully so, he wanted to see if the township wanted to partner with them so that, you don't do a portion of the road to the east and a portion of the road to the west, and you don't fix the portion that's in the middle. And though I didn't commit to him, I told him I would have the discussion with our road superintendent. We take a look at it, and this is due, I believe, September 3rd. It's in your packet here that the schedule also just came out this past week. It stated August 3rd, but I know it was a day or two after that, so it is September 3rd that the applications are due, so there's not a lot of time to react here. So I'd ask Kevin to research what records we have, and that's where he's explaining him and Linda have. And David, I don't know, do you have a date? Maybe David can check his records and get that to you?
I can get it to David. We have the dates and we have the round and the CI number,
Okay,
all that. And it was
because
from
I'm sure you've got the
2017.
records.
2017.
Mhm.
But the,
We can go over it after.
Yeah.
after the
but
meeting.
just so you're aware, Kevin, since then, because we had the question who you should work with or the county engineer should work with, and what Mayor Costello says is that Aaron Appel from Bramhall Engineering, and I've got Aaron's contact information from working with him on other items, but I wasn't sure if that contact information was still good, and the mayor said he would send me the contact information. This was just a discussion yesterday. I still haven't received anything, because I told him I would then forward it over to you so you guys can touch base, because I think there is the possibility in this way we need Aaron working with the county engineer, that he might take care of the full estimate and put together the actual application on our behalf, but we need to get that verified. Or are we going to have to put in a separate section? But I did tell the mayor, we'll go ahead and ask the county engineer to at least give an estimate for that portion also. Work with them. So this is moving pretty fast, but it's something we have to move quickly on. It's a slightly different plan. We were talking about continuing on with Dewey Road, and I did have discussion with Kevin, and you correct me if I'm misspeaking, but you said you felt Middle Ridge was in worse shape than Dewey, and so this would make more sense if we can pull this off and doing this together.
Correct.
So,
We're talking that section of Middle Ridge from the creek west to
Correct.
Pio South Amherst Road.
Yes.
So, in other words, the section east of Pio South Amherst Road.
Correct.
okay? So if you look on here, and Kevin, I did put a spot here for August that we have a resolution for that, but I still don't know, if we're going to have to do that prior to it. It all depends in the discussion, and hopefully if I don't get something, early tomorrow, and I've got a meeting at 8, 9 o'clock, so it'd have to be after 10, that I'd be able to send something to you. I can actually send tonight the contact information I have, but again, things could have changed. It's an old contact.
I'll check with Steve tomorrow if there's no way for him to get to starting that tomorrow, then I'll just wait and talk with Sean about it.
Okay.
And, get his information on it in the sense of where we are at that point, which would be Thursday morning is be the earliest he'll be able to get back to me. So
Okay.
at that point, at least it's still moving forward and we can see, how he feels about it. He still possibly wants to be in contacts with Grandma just to, in the estimating part of it all.
Right, and what, the other part, I don't recall if I shared this with you, the mayor's looking at around 36 application, hoping for approval, but actual construction in 2023. So for the trustees and fiscal officer, our actual expenditure for our component wouldn't be till 2023, around 36. Okay?
Okay.
Now, we might want to look at where we've always submitted two, if we want to put in a separate one for our more minor streets.
Well, did you talk with Mayor Costello about, in our previous projects, we've only been able to afford 1.5 inches off and 1.5 inches back on versus the 3 inches off and back on? Was that in?
We didn't discuss that detail. That'd be more with Aaron, the engineer.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, we didn't get into that level of detail, Kevin.
No.
And I did drive over there, and I did see where you had mentioned, the mayor's mentioned too, is their portion is a little bit worse than our portion.
What are they proposing to do? Go all the way to Larry Avenue or
I don't know.
the city of Amherst?
Yeah, we didn't get, David, we didn't get in that detail. As I said, the mayor called. They want to get theirs together. Aaron Appel will do it. He just want to know, since they're looking at Middle Ridge, is the township interested in a cooperative venture? And, it's been moving quick, and I called Kevin to discuss it with him, since that's a switch from the direction we were going. And it comes down to the financials we've got, how much it's going to be, and if we can pull it off, yeah, this would make more sense. Otherwise, we're going to have two parts of a road in the middle not done, and then we'll be coming back later to do the middle piece. So if we can get it all done at once, it's probably going to be the better price.
Exactly. Yeah. You may get an economy of scale on that.
Yeah, as far as where the city starts and finishes, that's up to them, because we'll only pay our proportion based on the total project.
Since that is planned for 2023, then would we still fill out an application for 2022?
Correct. Correct.
So it'll have to be done before June 30th of '23 to still hit that fiscal year of 2022, because that's what the application for
Yeah, you
36
have
is.
2 years upon the approval.
We have 2 years?
2.
Okay.
So that's why he's looking at applying 2021. You get your approval, then you'll know towards the end of 2021, but you don't actually get authorization until July of 2022.
Right.
And then they'll go ahead and work on the bidding for construction in 2023.
So then would he be interested in doing Dewey Road, the other part of Dewey Road for 2022?
I think that'd be the reasonable discussion. That would make sense, but again, that's up to them, because, and they probably would, because the same thing, you'd only have one mobilization in a bigger project that you're bidding. And, you can discuss, since the mayor suggested their engineer to be the one to talk with, I think it's best for you guys to have all that detailed level of discussion. And I don't know if you've ever worked with Aaron. He's pretty easy to work with, pretty level-headed, calm. He's not a guy that gets, overly excited, quick to anger, anything like that. He's nice, easy, just the facts.
I'm used to that. I work with Denny quite a bit.
Can I just ask just a real quick question?
Yeah.
if we're looking at 2023 for doing it, why are we trying to rush this through in 2 or 3 weeks? Why wouldn't we start getting all the information now and put it in next year for 23?
Well, because this is the one that the city was going at, I don't know what else they've got going on.
'Cause
Realize,
it's a lot of work to try to do in just a couple weeks, and a lot of moving parts that we're trying to coordinate.
but that's what I'm saying is, on our end, the difficulty is going to be how much burden we put on the county engineer in request for estimates for a project if we wanted to do something else. Because as Kevin will attest to, when we've asked before to quote multiple projects, because we were looking at from a financial standpoint, how much
Right.
could we afford?
Mm-hmm.
I know they got frustrated because they said, holy smokes, if every township asks for this much, we don't have enough manpower to do the work. So with this one, we wouldn't, there's a good chance, and that's where Kevin had to be talking with Aaron, we might not even do the work of putting together the application. Bramhall Engineering may do the whole thing and do it on our behalf, including, that the cooperative agreement's pretty much a boilerplate one that's provided for OPWC projects. So that may take the burden off here and put it on someone that's full-time. This is what they work on versus we're working with part-timers
Right.
trying to get it done. So again, I didn't pick that date for when to get it started. That's what the mayor gave with their current plan. And I don't know where they were with their previous application because they tend to get approved each year. Maybe the time phasing that he's working.
Okay.
Then I'll bring, well, then I have to talk with the city if they'd be interested in Dewey Road then, before I take our estimate that we had for the other portion.
And that's why I'm saying if you talk with their engineer, and the discussion I had yesterday with the mayor is I think he's pretty comfortable also with delegating to their engineer. And when I asked, who do you speak with? I originally thought it'd be someone within the city, and he quickly recommended their engineer.
All right.
The proposal that we're working on is only half of Dewey, correct? That's my understanding. We're gonna do from like Ackerman to Middle Ridge, or?
That's what's gonna be happening here,
Yeah,
Precision.
and there's still a section north of the city to North Ridge that's gonna have to be done.
Correct, that's
And then
what I'm talking about.
The question was, okay, well, we could put the city in with it. We could, but are we gonna do the whole of Dewey Road then? Or will we just do from Middle Ridge to the northerly city limits of Amherst there on?
Right now, here, coming up real quick, Precision is going to mill off 1.5 inches from Middle Ridge Road to Ackerman Road.
Okay.
That's gonna be done here fairly quick. Sean hasn't gotten back with me, but that's already slated, that's already on the works. That's gonna be done
Yeah.
here shortly. What I'm talking about is for next year with OPWC's getting with the city, so then we start at Ackerman Road, the city
Oh,
does
we're
their
gonna go.
portion.
Okay, I see where we're at right now.
So I'll get some information and one last thing is I contacted the county about striping the roads, yellow and white paint, and they turned me down like right now. They turned Elyria Township down yesterday, and all last week they were turning townships down. They're having a hard time getting paint. They're not sure if they're gonna get all their stuff painted, especially with all the chipping and sealing that was done.
Is it because it's coronavirus they're having difficulty getting the paint?
That's
Supply
probably
chain.
somebody's excuse with it, but also when Texas and Sherman-Williams in Texas, I guess a bunch of their product froze when they had that big freeze down there. And that was the information that was given me today. So I'm gonna be searching around for, we had a little bit of a hard time. We had to go to North Ridgeville to get the paint for the parking lot. Sherman-Williams down here was out of it. They're all back ordered. So I'm gonna be searching around, as of here real quickly, like to get some of these roads painted here, get some estimates on it. Try and get that taken. That, I believe is all I have. The Hampshire Farms, though, everything was going good. Everything's on schedule. And by the end of October, October 31st, it's supposed to be finished up with all the utilities. All utilities being in the ground, and then that's when they're talking. Obviously, that time of the year, it's a little different if they'll have any concrete poured.
Is that October 31st?
Correct.
That's just the utilities.
Yes,
That's not the road.
correct.
Are they gonna do the road next year?
Well, if, they might start the road this year. And if not, then it probably will be put off until the spring.
Thank you.
Okay, and you mentioned the last time all the chip and seal work was done.
Yes.
I don't recall Chris seeing the payment, an invoice for that yet. Okay, I know that the original estimate was a little over 10,000. I don't know what the final bids came in since the county did that.
Yeah, I haven't received.
Have they said who's going to build there? Yet? Do they have a builder lined up, or they're just gonna sell lots off?
Hang on, you're checking on the chip and seal first, Kevin?
Yeah, that's,
Okay, let's stick with one thing at a time.
I got the estimate, here with the total at, 9,446.
9,000,
$9,446.25.
so that must have been what the actual was. Because the estimate was $10,161.25, the original estimate before it went to bid.
Correct.
Okay, so it came in under bid, good. Okay. Well, I assume that the county or the contractor, most likely the contractor, will eventually be sending us the invoice. Okay. All right, David, you had a question for Kevin on the Hampshire Farms pre-construction meeting?
Has there been any decision on who will be doing building down there? Gonna be just sell off lots, or is it going to be?
That was not brought up in the meeting. This meeting was basically utilities.
I would say they're within, what, 12 months of starting their first home?
Oh, I definitely would say so.
So, decision will be made by now. Just curiosity. All right.
I'll probably call the developer. Is that curious? Okay. Okay, Township Administrator Linda Ashley.
The cemetery grant, I did apply for that on July 30th. And I apologize, I do not know the date that they're going to make a decision. I forgot to look that up today. So I don't know it off the top of my head, but
All
that's
right,
for...
you got it in. That's the
It was-
first hurdle.
It was due by August 3rd, so I did get it in on the 30th. I did get a reply that they received it and to thank you for our submission. And then it was just, we'll be in contact. And that's for $1,000, and that was for leveling and resetting the headstones over there at Kindig. The amount that we put an itemized statement in, which included backhoe hours, dump truck hours, limestone, concrete, and man hours. And it came up to about $1,300, estimated cost. So we could have applied for more, however, there was a ton of paperwork and a lot of hoops to jump through for extra money, and I didn't think $300 was worth jumping through all the hoops. So,
We're just very happy you applied for what you did.
yeah, so we're waiting on that. As I said last meeting, the Green Ribbon Award, that should be the 16th of this month. So I'm still waiting to hear on that. Playground equipment is still in process. We ordered it, we'll hear, they said could be up to 8 weeks. What other one do I have out there? And that's it. And the rest of the paperwork that I'm doing is the OPWC and the ODOT stimulus and the ARP money and
Yeah,
Ankle Ditch. We're all working on all those, so,
we're gonna be getting to that again soon, so.
yeah. Other than that, there's nothing else to report.
Any questions for Linda?
No, I have none.
Okay, the next item that's going to require action, and I put this under the Phase 2 Stormwater, item number, hope it isn't, let me back up. First question is, Kevin, do you want to update the board on the Flow Properties, aka Wolf Construction, for the Ankle Ditch Phase 3 as to where that stands for the restoration of that?
Well, I had contacted them, obviously. I sent in the information of the award of the bid, and she is in the process now of having that all scheduled up and talk with the county and get something figured out here to have a pre-construction meeting with the county, with them. I definitely would be there, see when the date is going to be. She had her, when they say, get her ducks in a row in order to get it scheduled up.
Thank you. And just for Chris and Linda, so you're aware, for our portion of that project, from a financial standpoint, the ARPA funds will be eligible to pay our portion for that. So now under the Phase 2, Item 10 for stormwater, this is where there's an actual resolution. This is an expenditure of the ARP Act funds for the purchase of a backhoe. Right now it says the New Holland or equivalent. Right now, I just want to bring this resolution to the floor without having to read through even the sections here on it. We'll discuss that during discussion, so I just want to make the motion to bring this to the floor.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Which is this?
this is the prepared resolution you have in your packet. And it's titled Expenditure of our back funds for the purchase of a New Holland, gives the model number, tractor, loader, backhoe. Okay, but it says or equivalent. Okay, the our funds, as we're aware, can be used in the.
Neil, we
Oh, I
need to
didn't
vote
do that,
on
I'm
it.
sorry, Lynch.
No, we're not. We're in discussion.
Oh, discussion.
I just
sorry.
want to get on the floor so we could have discussion.
Gotcha.
And explain what's going on here. We can use the ARP funds for the support of vital stormwater infrastructure, and that's where, in the discussion with Kevin as to the status of the backhoe, he's got a major maintenance repair he needs to do that hopefully we can get this through before that's necessary. There may be some residual trade-in value on that, but that's something he's going to have discussion on. You know, and again, we wouldn't want to be putting any township funds to something that then we're going to be interchanging. The backhoe currently was purchased in 2012 and has a significant number of hours on it. The reason, though, this is an or equivalent is when we started looking at this, the Department of Administrative Services had a bid award that was for a New Holland backhoe. As of August 1st, they just awarded another one for Caterpillar. But and I don't know, I know Linda was going to look at it to see if there was any update. When I had looked at it this past weekend as I was preparing this resolution, the price list and the more detailed information, the hyperlink didn't work on the Department of Administrative Services website. The other thing is this one for the New Holland is only good until March of 2022. So, you know, as we found out with the CARES Act fund, once people learned what things would be eligible for, you had communities all across the state trying to obtain that, and we had like the first vehicle we couldn't get, and you would check through every dealer that was listed, and we had to go a different route. Well, since the Department of Administrative Services just awarded a second thing, I don't think has to be a Case, Caterpillar, New Holland, I don't know if that matters to you, it's that it has all the features you need to do the job for all the township work, particularly in the, you know, things dealing with drainage here, which always becomes, we all hear from residents about issues with water and drainage. So that's why it's kind of open, Kevin. For the trustees, you'll see in the backup information here, it gives the specification off of, for the New Holland tractor, and it's roughly $117,000 now. Kevin might want to add in a 12-inch bucket on there also. I didn't put that in there, Kevin, and obviously you need both sizes, but I wasn't sure with where they're showing the quick coupler, mechanical couplers for the buckets. Would expect that to be universal, but I don't know if it is, where, hey, we'll trade in what we've got, keep our buckets, use those. Now, you've got to look at that, and you've got to look at where the wears are, where they engage. You may be better off just get everything new, get it delivered, and trade everything in, so that there's a complete trade going back also. So I don't know where that new one stands. I can't tell you which one we have. But I wanted to get this on the floor so that Kevin can start and Linda can both really be looking into it and not get into these supply chain issues we've had. You just heard the one with the paint. Who knows? You think it's because they froze. But we remember when we were doing that generator and we had to have that one controller change. And that one was definitely, they tied it right to the coronavirus because the manufacturing plants were shut down and delayed because of their supply chain and their labor force. And we could run into the same thing again with this. So the way this was written is in section 1, it increased the price to $130,000. Now that's not to exceed $130,000. Realize what we've got priced now is under $117,000. I think there was like $800 or $900 for the 12-inch bucket also, Kevin, if that was added in there. Okay. But I have no idea what the Caterpillar would be if it turns out we can't get the New Holland within the time frame of the contract being there. I also don't know that their pricing might not turn out being better, you know, if it's still equivalent equipment. Because both of them show their bid is just based on a percentage less of the manufacturer's suggested retail price. The New Holland is 34% less of the manufacturer's suggested retail price. The Caterpillar, it was either 24 or 28% less. But again, less from what number, and without the price list being available, you know, I didn't have visibility to that. And I assume that hyperlink doesn't work because the Department of Administrative Services just awarded the contract. So somebody's probably going to have to be notified, hey, your links aren't working, so that we can see that. So the one thing is it puts it not to exceed $130,000. It also is in section 2, is that it's only upon receipt of the written opinion from the Lorain County Prosecutor's Office regarding the eligibility of expenditure of American Rescue Plan Act Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds. That's the official name for the purchase of this backhoe. Now you will see attached the backup information up to this point. The Prosecutor's Office pretty much is in agreement with this, that it's eligible, but they want to research it, give a written opinion. So on the backup information, I just left a spot to include that.
I know the prosecutor's office is hoping to have that this week. I was hoping to have it before this meeting, but we don't have it yet. When we do get it, Linda, we will update the electronic version of this, just so as the OTA and the Office of Budget Management have all told us, back up for the information. And we know come the time when we eventually go through our audits, personnel can change, people's memories change. So if we have everything in one place, it'll be easy to pull it up to explain what was the decision-making process in doing this, and how do we say that this complies with the American Rescue Plan Act. So unless there's any other questions, I just want to make sure we explain what we're doing here. This is authorizing Kevin and Linda to go out and purchase a replacement backhoe, but it's all subject to the receipt of that document from the prosecutor's office. But I'm pretty confident we're going to get a positive response. And just like the response in the CARES Act, they'll always hedge their opinion, but I think it's going to give us something that we're comfortable with.
What were you talking as far as, you said, leave something blank, put in the electronic copy?
Right here, see, if you open this up for the backup information,
Okay,
insert prosecutor's opinion here,
okay.
put it real big and put it on a diagonal so you can't miss it.
It's part of the supporting information, but
Just
it's not
supporting.
part of the,
Not part of the resolution, it's part of the supporting information, so that come time for an audit, you tie everything back, you'll have and Chris, you know the routine, you get the invoice, then they want to see the payment, they want to see the authorizing resolution, you pull up the authorizing resolution, and we will update the electronic version and insert the prosecutor's opinion right there, so everything's in one place. So we had this here, so that had the prosecutor's opinion come in, David, we would have inserted it before printing. And this is a standard technique that people use when they're project planning. Okay? So are we all set then for, I guess, roll call, Chris? There's no other questions or comments?
Lynch,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Yurick.
the only question, if I could ask one more, we're not committing to a specific amount from the funds, we're just saying that
Not to
we're
exceed
not-
130.
Not to exceed 130, just we're gonna buy the backhoe, we're gonna use the funds that we can, and whatever that is, it is.
Right.
So we can go ahead and purchase the backhoe.
Right, and
Okay,
not
yeah.
holding up, because we don't know with a meeting when things will come up. We don't know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen in supply chain, and we don't wanna lose out as we did during the CARES fund.
Exactly. All right. Yes.
We have
And of
time,
course-
Chris, the number?
83,
If we find something, or when we find it,
What
we
is
do
the
always
number?
alert you.
8321.
What was
Didn't
that
hear
number?
that, Linda?
Sorry, Linda.
I said when we find something, and if we find something, of course, we always alert everybody before we go ahead and make any commitments. So everybody will be on an email saying,
Right.
we found this, it's gonna cost this much money, da-da-da.
Da-da-da.
Well, the nice thing is they also, we can incur the expenditure by 2024, but we have till 2026 to spend. We don't want to get into that because then we're going to have major money being put into this old backhoe. So hopefully we can get it before that has to happen. Thank you. Okay, that was all the business that had to be done. Oh, wait a minute, we didn't hit complaints, did we? Go to complaints, Remy. Just the ones that are open. I know Linda's already handled several, and they're already closed, and so have you that have come in through the website. But, let's see, the one that's left open was the one down there on Deepwood, 323 Deepwood. Is that still,
No, yeah, you can close that out.
so that's all been taken care of?
Yep.
And Marcy's aware of it?
Yes.
And then you just gave copies, I think I see them at the trustees here. This one just came in today. This is a complaint about property maintenance on Cobblestone. I assume you're gonna look at that.
I'll be doing that tomorrow.
This was the one, Linda, you sent to the gentleman, and he got it down here right away, so.
Oh, is that the gentleman
worked.
that emailed?
Yep, he
Oh.
emailed it, and you told him, and he did it electronically, and must have dropped it off here, I assume in the green box, Remy.
It was in the
probably
green
found it.
box, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I just sent that this morning.
Yeah. So, it's, did you make a copy for Linda, just so she can see this?
Sure.
Okay, so that was the business that needed to be covered for the unfinished business that we all have different responsibilities for. Is there anything else that the other board members need to bring up?
I would just say that I spoke with Pete Zwick on the phone about that drainage complaint up by Molnar's, and put a call into the state garage in Oberlin, and I did not receive a call back on that. And I did speak with Pete today. Recalling back in 2015, when looking at the ditch, the consensus was would probably involve some kind of ditch cleaning of that ditch that the road ditch feeds into. That ditch runs roughly behind Speedway and loops around and at some point crosses 113. The tile is low in the ditch that crosses 58, so that ditch is going to have to be lowered. In order for it to be effectively lowered, you're going to have to lower it downstream enough so that you're not trying to run water uphill. So what needs to be done is you need to isolate the drainage course, identify the drainage course on the map, and identify any concerned property owners. And a decision has to be made as what is the scope of a project to open up that tile is needed, and then how would you pay for it, or how would you do it? Would you go through a petition process, or is it something a small grant could take care of? But all that is unknown until you identify the scope of the project.
Did the gentleman that came to the township ever submit the email, Linda?
No, I emailed him directly and let him know that I had not received anything, and his response was, "I will get them to you tomorrow." And that was 2 weeks ago. And I have not gotten any pictures or narrative.
I appreciate them having a discussion, Dave, but at this point, since the state's not going to own up and do anything and didn't agree to contribute money, I don't see where on that one we're going to take action, without the property owner actually initiating it and coming forward. Because you're talking a petition process.
You don't know what the scope of the project is. If it's something that entails the cleaning of maybe a few hundred feet of ditch, you might be able to handle it with a mini grant or something like
This one would
that.
have to be a petition process, which then would determine what the issue is in the scope, and that all starts with somebody filing that with the County Board of Commissioners, and we explained that to the gentleman when he came here. We did say there might be other funds between county and township. We didn't commit to them, but ARPA funds obviously are eligible. They're stormwater district, but it all starts with that evaluation to determine the scope, and also it's a cost-benefit decision. If you do something that benefits one property owner at the cost of many, might be a hard sell, because the way they score these things. So at this point, till the property owner initiates it and identifies their concern, that's where it'll start, and then they can begin the petition process. As it stands right now, the Lorraine County Stormwater District generally covers the fee for the petition initiation if the property owner wants to go that route. And though the property owner spoke on behalf of Molnar's, I don't think they were directly involved in the Molnar business. the understanding I had. I may be mistaken, but I appreciate you checking with the county engineer, but we already know what ODOT's last response was.
Yeah.
So hopefully if they get back to you, maybe they've got a different opinion, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. Okay. All right, anything else?
No.
Okay, any need for an executive session?
No,
Anything
sir.
from the audience? And can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Remy.
Abraham?
Remy.
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.